Welcome into Sports Talk at the Stadium, our post-game report following South Carolina's 21-17 loss to Illinois in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl here at Camping World Stadium in Orlando. Our report is brought to you by the South Carolina Beef Council, and Happy New Year, everyone, as we come to you just a few hours before the turn to 2025. 2024 ends on a disappointing note for South Carolina in a number of different ways. They lose a game they very easily could have won. They see their 6-game winning streak go by the boards. They see their chance for a 10th win on the season just out of reach. And they have controversy, a couple of different controversies, one involving the two head coaches and one involving their star safety. I call them controversies. Other people might just shrug it off, but to me, it's a controversy. But as far as the game goes first, South Carolina did a lot of good things in this game, offensively and defensively. It was a game that was there to be won by South Carolina, but they could not finish drives in the red zone. By my counting, the Gamecocks had 22 snaps inside the Illinois 30-yard line, 18 of those snaps inside the red zone. And, of course, they come away with 17 points. I mean, they had several wasted opportunities. There was a missed field goal. There was a fake something. I don't know if it was supposed to be a fake field goal, though there was no holder on the field. Maybe it was supposed to be a drop kick by Kai Kroger, but they faked whatever it was they were going to do and attempted a pass into the end zone that went incomplete. So that cost the Gamecocks some points. They had a fumble down in Illinois territory that they lost, and they were stopped on downs inside Illinois territory, most notably on their last possession with a chance to go back on top and maybe win the game. They are deep in Illinois territory, and on fourth down, they have an overthrown pass. Lenora Sellers trying to hit Josh Simon with a touchdown pass that might have won the ball game, but it was just out of his reach, and then Illinois was able to keep the football the rest of the game. So the Gamecocks, lost the ball. The Illinois 13 on downs, had a missed field goal from the Illinois 23, lost a fumble at the Illinois 37, and then that last possession down to the Illinois 7, they lose the ball on downs. They don't take advantage of those opportunities. It was a 390-yard offensive day for the Gamecocks. Lenora Sellers was 24 of 34 for 260 and a touchdown, but they did keep him. Illinois did, their defense, as Zach Willis used the term to me, kind of a mesh look on their defense in that they kept their defensive guys in front of Sellers. They didn't overextend themselves with their pressure. They didn't give him the big openings and the gaps to take off full speed and break tackles and make big gains with his legs. So that part of the Gamecocks offense was taken away from them today by Brett Bielema and the Illinois defense. The controversy, the biggest thing to me, was that Nick Emanwori opted out for the second half. We didn't know it at the time. We saw him standing on the sideline, no helmet in hand, talking to players and coaches and just sort of maybe joking around a little bit. But it was obvious he wasn't coming back. Was he hurt? Was he sick? Nobody knew anything. Television never said anything about the fact he wasn't even on the field. How they missed that's amazing to me. But anyway, we find out after the game from Jalen Kilgore, of all people, because Beamer was asked about it in his post-game, refused to comment. He called it an internal decision that he wasn't going to elaborate on. So it was Kilgore who told us that they were losing, a star safety. And we said, well, who was that? And he said, Emanwori. So there you go. And then Emanwori later told David Cloninger of the Post and Courier that he had told, as he put it, his coach that he was only going to play the first half. So personally, I find that disgusting, disturbing. Everybody's got a different opinion on how players handle their business these days. But to me personally, as a sports reporter and a sports fan, if you're not going to play the full game, if you're not going to play to win, then why play? And why do coaches let you play? I'm hoping that Beamer, for his sake, in terms of perception, wasn't aware. But then again, he's always had a pretty hard position on players who were not going to play and wouldn't let them be with the team and wouldn't let them be on the sideline. So there's more to this story that we have to find out down the road. The other controversy was between Bielema and Beamer. Had to do with a kickoff return where the Gamecocks did a throwback, and prior to catching the ball, McDowell put his arms out as if he was not going to return the football. They're just going to let the ball die, and he picked up the ball, threw it to Harbor. And Bielema took exception to that because in his mind, there's an understanding that when you put your arms out in that motion, even though he was not waving his arms, just put his arms out flat, that's an understanding that you're going to let the ball die. You're not going to return it. It's a safety thing in his mind. So he took exception to that, and he mocked the Gamecock sideline when he came out to check on a player who was hurt. Beamer got really upset, had to be restrained by his assistant coaches from going after Bielema. It was all great theater, all great drama, something else to talk about. And these two teams really got after it. They wanted to win this ball game. Both of these teams were striving for 10 wins, and Illinois gets it, and South Carolina does not. So no other way to put it but a tough loss for South Carolina. One they'll look back on and say, man, could have had this one. Did a lot of good things that should have led to a victory. But when you look at it, not enough big plays in the offense. They did have a 60-yard pass completion. They did have a 36-yard touchdown run. But for the most part, it was an offensive day without the big play. And you give Illinois credit for doing that. And then defensively, not having Eman Worry had to have an impact. I mean, there might have been some plays he could have made that might have helped turn the game in the Gamecocks' favor. There was a long pass play that led to a touchdown for Illinois that maybe, I don't know where Eman Worry would have been, but maybe he would have been in on that play. There was a long run that Illinois had to seal the win that maybe Eman Worry comes up and makes a tackle and prevents that. I don't know. These are all things you just wonder about when a guy opts out in the middle of the game. Funny thing is, of course, the whole nation got caught up in Cam Ward, the Miami quarterback, doing the same thing in this very stadium. We should change the name of this stadium to Second Half Opt-Out Field instead of Camping World Stadium, because it happened twice here, Miami and South Carolina. Now, I don't know that the Eman Worry thing will have the national impact that the Cam Ward thing did, but around here, it should have people talking. And Eman Worry's a great kid by all accounts. I've been one personally very high on him as a player. I think he's got a chance to be a great pro. But I just don't think you do that to your team. If you're not going to play a full game, then tell them up front, not playing. Take the route of Rocket Sanders and Kyle Kennard and just opt out and move on. I just think it's a very bad look for you. Is it going to hurt his draft status? Is it going to, cause him any other kind of problems? Probably not. He'll walk away from this and be fine. But it's just another black eye for college football. In particular, right here in our own backyard with South Carolina. So the Gamecocks will have to shrug this one off for a little while. Shane Beamer is already looking ahead to the opener against Virginia Tech next season in Atlanta, and they'll have to fill some big holes on this team. TJ Sanders announced after the game that he's turning pro, so you're losing him, losing a good bit up front. Now you're losing your best player on the back end. These now, the window, the portal window will now be open for these bowl teams when they play. You've got, I think it's a 5-day period where players who were involved in bowl games or the playoffs, they can now enter the transfer portal window or transfer portal. So we'll see if any other Gamecocks decide to do that here over the next several days. But for now, they will take a little bit of a break before they get back to school and start hitting the weights and training and getting ready for spring practice and the 2025 season. This season would have had a much cheerier end to it had the Gamecocks been able to hold on to a lead in the fourth quarter, or maybe pull one out at the very end with that late touchdown attempt that came up short, but it just wasn't to be today for South Carolina. They lose it 21-17. The Gamecocks finish at 9-4 on the season. I want to thank the South Carolina Beef Council for sponsoring all our football reports this season with both the Gamecocks and Clemson. We hope you have a happy New Year. You had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we'll be with you on Sports Talk Thursday night on the Sports Talk Media Network.